Hello! I will be starting with Maya, showing you three things mainly. First of all, a quick history lesson in Maya to see how and why are we using Maya up in these days, that it's a top choice for any animation studio or any artist in the animation industry. Second thing, I will be taking you through the process of installation. We'll just touch on that a little bit, not as deep, but for you guys to see which websites and what would it be the process to get it going on your computer. And then the last one, we're going to open Maya and we'll go through the basic things in Maya. When we open Maya for the first time, it's kind of like overwhelming. It's a lot of things that are on the screen. So we'll just take it baby steps and we'll go through the interface, the viewports, modules, and the menus. Okay, so quick history lesson here. In the old days, that I was lucky to be part of those old days in the 80s, 90s, when I was like 59 years old. I was there, and I can tell you that before Maya and Softimage and all these companies that are here now today, there were a lot of different companies that they were making all this software. These companies, they would just be really good at one thing, so they would create a module to model, and that was the whole package, because they were really heavy pieces of code. So you would need to purchase one software for each one of the little things that you wanted to do. Let's say if you wanted to do only modeling, you needed to get a software for that. If you needed to do some animation, that would be a different vendor. If you would be doing some rendering, that would have been a different vendor as well. So there were all these companies back in those days. The main companies were Alias, which was one company standing alone. Then there was Wavefront, another different company, and then there was Softimage. Those were the three leading companies back in the 80s, 90s. Softimage, that was a company from Montreal, which is a Canadian company. And then Alias, it was the same thing. It was from a couple of people from Toronto that they were building all these things. And they had Alias, they had the software called Power Animator, which is just a module of the software that they could animate. They had Modeler and they had a lot of things, but their main background and the main strength from that company was the whole modeling tools. They were doing a lot of stuff with a system called NURBS in those days. Then Wavefront was a company that they were really keen in dynamics and collisions and physics and simulations and all those things. And Softimage was the main software for animation, because they had one thing that it was called IK, which is the inverse kinematics as we know it. So all these three companies, they were pretty much making or being the pioneers in their areas of expertise. Alias and Wavefront, they merged because it's just business decisions. And then Softimage, what happened to Softimage? It was actually bought by Microsoft. So what was happening back then is that Alias Wavefront would have a next generation of code, and there was this all secret project, like secret code and all that. So they would announce that they would have this thing called Maya, and they would say, okay, so we're going to release Maya in the next 2 years or so. And then Softimage, they went through the same kind of idea, and then they said they were going to release their next generation of software called Sumatra. Softimage, they're super late with Sumatra, and Maya comes out on the year they announced it. It was mind-blowing. It was so fast, you would not believe this thing. And it was also the like around the date that Silicon Graphics was not only the computers that were running or capable of running these things. They announced these PCs, like these super powerful PCs. But it was really fast because the whole thing was optimized. The whole algorithms and all those mathematical extensions, they were going hand by hand with the computer power from those days. And we did this experiment ourselves. Like we had an actual Silicon Graphics, and then we had a PC-based computer running Softimage, and the PC was faster, rendering the whatever it was, the frame. And that was like, I could not believe that a PC was faster than this workstation, Silicon Graphics workstation. And then what happened to Softimage was that they were so late with the Sumatra. It took them about 4 years to get Sumatra going, and then they needed to change the name again to XSI, and that's what we have now. We have Maya in one hand, and then we have XSI. We have a lot of others like 3D Max and all those different packages, but for now these ones were and are now the top choices for film and animation. So that's a quick history lesson. I will show you some images first. I'll show you some of the movies that they were making those days. So this would be a preview of Power Animator from Alias, and as you can see, the interface it's kind of similar to Maya because it's the same company that was doing all this thing, but it was a lot of icons on the interface instead of having text as you would see in the Softimage image. So it was mainly having icons that would in a way would explain the tools, because there were so many tools, and also it's a visual tool for visual artists, and it's really important to see something and just to understand what it is. So you can see all the icons right there, and what you see there with that kind of a donut shape, that is called torus, which is the mathematical scientific name. That's how they were doing things in NURBS. We'll get more on that later on if needed. And a movie that is pretty famous for that is The Abyss. You can see it right here. That's one from James Cameron. It happens to be one of his first experiments with visual effects. And there you are. That's one of the first movies with Alias back in those days. Another famous movie from them was this one, Terminator. Pretty groundbreaking movie with visual effects and all that. And you can see like all this was mainly made with Alias technology. Right there you can see the materials like chrome, which was really hard in those days as well. Now it's kind of easy, yeah. And then here we have the Softimage interface, and if you compare this one to what Alias was, like this one's all text. And it was really clean. A lot of artists preferred this one because the other one was so cluttered. It was just hard to see things. And this one's just text, as you can see it. Text on the left menus and on the right menus. It was just like that, and you just click on those ones, and you get more options. As the Alias was more like Maya now, that you all these pull down menus that you have more options and more options going deeper. And famous movies for Softimage is this one, of course, and this is one of those combinations that they would model in Alias all these dinosaurs, and they would import them into Softimage, and they would animate in Softimage because of the inverse kinematics and all the animation tools that they had. That was pretty powerful. And this is what it would be for Sumatra, and this was the new interface for Sumatra, and later on it became XSI. So again, they kept on going with the same interface that is not populated with icons. It's again text that is always in the background. It's not really getting in the way of the artist, or kind of like always like pulling his attention somewhere. It's very dimmed. It's very carefully designed. So that's it for the quick history lesson. We're going to go back into the installation process for Maya. So now we are going to install Maya, I am using a Mac, as you can see. It'll be the same process if you are using a PC. It's the same exact process, and there's little things that would vary at the end, but just like few things. So do not worry about that. So go into Google and type in Education Autodesk, which is the community of Autodesk, which is now the company that owns Maya. This is now the company that owns the monopoly of all the software. You can see it. So you click on that one, and it's going to take you to this educational community. All this is new. It might be there from 2010. So all the things that I'm telling you, you have to go and dive into the website as well, because all this is changing as well. A lot of the things that they're offering now is just to expand all their tools and software packages. They have not only Maya, but they have a lot of things, and they're reaching out to schools and universities and teachers and faculty so they can access this website. Okay, so first thing you have to go and do is register an account with Autodesk. And this is just one way of getting the software here. What we're trying to do there is that we want to own a license for educational purposes, which means we're not going to use it. You can't use it for production, for commercial production. It has to be everything for your learning experience as you're going through animation exercises and all that. So register an account here, just enter your data. If it asks you for the school, you enter Vancouver Animation School, which we are part of the website. You can find us right here. I will show you. You can see that there's pages. There's around the page number is 728, 728. All the way down, you're gonna find Vancouver Animation School, which is this one right there. And you enter the information and you say you belong with us, and here it'll give you access to that community. Once you register, you're gonna go and get the software. Here you click on the menu right there, and now you have a lot of the products they offer. So go all the way down to Maya and then go download now. So what's gonna happen now is that it's going to ask you your ID and all that, and then later what's going to happen is that it's going to download just one little piece of a file. It's not going to be Maya yet, but it'll be a file that triggers that download. So it's the same in PC, it's the same on a Mac. You get that file, you double click on that file, and you let it downloading. It's going to take couple of hours depending on your internet connection, but it's a file that it'll be about 1 or 2 gigabytes. It's a large file, and then just follow the installation instructions. Okay, so here I am after this long download. I have on my Mac in this case, but just go to the downloads folder of your computer, and then you're gonna find a file that it'll say something like this. It is the installation package. You double click on that one, and it's going to expand now Maya, and it's going to go through the installation process right there. Just click on the or follow the instructions. It's really easy to install. You're pretty much installing Maya, the full suite, so we can have access to all the features that Maya offers. And once you have it up and running through the installation, you're going to find one icon, which is this one. Sometimes that icon goes into the folder. Just put it on your desktop so you can have easy access to that icon, and you can open Maya from there. And just open it up, you click on that, and it opens Maya. And you can see the screen right there. We're using Maya 2011 because now this is the next generation again from Maya, which you're gonna see some substantial changes. If you've been using Maya prior to that, 2010, 9 or 8, they were kind of similar. They had some bugs fixed, but now Maya 2011, it offers a lot more things into it. The first thing that you're going to see right away is that the whole interface now it's almost black. It's a dark color. So again, that all goes with the idea that It's not really competing or giving you anything to your eyes that it's just hard to look at. So now they just dimmed down the colors, so now we can see in a better relaxed way. So this is the Maya interface, and if you haven't seen Maya or any 3D application package, it could be overwhelming. It could mean a lot of things. So we're just gonna go and break it down in a way that is simple to understand. And let me point out that for animation, we only use about 10% of the package. And it's mainly because we're using the same tools for animation. Remember, animation is more about the performance, the acting, the creative side. And once you go into Maya, you know what you're doing, and you're going to be using the same tools repeatedly in Maya. So I'll be talking about now the interface, modules, menus. Here, up here you have menus as any other software, and this comes from Alias. These pull down menus that they are there on the top, and there's a lot of stuff right here. You can see that there's different things for skeletons, skins. There's a lot of things that they might not make sense for you now, and again, you're not going to be using all of these things. We're just going to focus on what's important now for animation. And another important thing here for animation is that we have modules from the quick history class that we just had. We had these different companies that they were making all these different modules, like something for modeling, something for rendering, something for animation. So now Maya has them all, and you can click on this button right there and you can see all these different modules. So you have animation, which is the one that we are going to be spending all the time. We have polygons for modeling, surfaces for modeling, dynamics from wavefront. We have those algorithms here, which is very powerful. Rendering, more dynamics right there, and then you can customize more things, because that's one of the things about the new generation of software. They're very customizable to your needs and personal preferences. You can modify the whole interface that it makes more sense to you. If what Maya brought to the table in the layout and all that, you can just build your own Maya in a way. And here with the modules, something that has been happening from a long time ago is that all the keys in the keyboard from F1 to F6, you're going to find all those modules. F1 has been always help. So if you click on that one, you're going to find that it opens now the browser and goes to the help page. So you can have all that access to the information about things, about Maya, about the things that you're looking there. So that's F1 in any package. F2 to F6, so if I go F2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going to see that this menu right there, it is changing. That's 2, that's animation. 3 would be polygons, 4 would be surfaces, 5 dynamics, and then 6, the last one, is rendering. Now, as I'm going through these ones, one thing that is very cool to see, and it helps you just to break down the program and see, just make it more manageable, that all the menus up here, they are changing. So you can see that up to assets, like these menus, file, edit, modify, create, display, windows, and assets, they are common menus. They are always going to be there. Doesn't really matter which module you are in, they would be there. So again, just do the switch right there. You can see now this one became select. If I let it go and I press F2, that one changes to animate. So you have all the menus and tools from the animation. So that just makes it easier just to understand what's in there for animation. Now the next thing that we can talk about is the interface down below. We have all these icons. Again, Alias doesn't have as much text, so you can see the icons and you can see what's kind of happening. If you hold the cursor right there, you're gonna find that sometimes in the PCs you're gonna find the little balloon that says what it is. On the Mac, you can find that on the bottom left portion of the screen. You're gonna find what is that tool, the name, and what is it for. It's just gonna give you a hint, not an explanation. So these ones are called shelves right there. Up here we have, again, common tools for selecting different things in Maya. We'll go through that. We're just mentioning the idea now. We have the same thing as any other package. We have a new scene, we have an open scene, you can save the scene right there. And then here on the left is what we call the toolbox. The toolbox on that side of the screen is mainly the manipulation tools, which is you can grab something to move it, you can rotate it, you can scale it. It's basic tools. And then Maya has one cool thing, that the last thing that you used, it brings it there, so you can repeatedly use it instead of going to the menu, find it, and then selecting that again. Just brings it back to you, which is very fast. Then we have layouts on the interface. Here we have the perspective camera right there. Then we have right here, you can have the 4 views. We'll get into that now. I'm just switching through the menus. Right here, this is a layout that shows you a list of items plus the perspective. Then we have this one that I use the most for animation, because you can have a window down here that it is called the animation editor. So you open it up and then you see motion right there, and it shows you the perspective, and it shows you another window that you can see some sort of a hierarchy in a very schematic way. And then each one of these windows, if I go back to the 4 windows, these ones are called viewports. So 1, 2, 3, 4 viewports is pretty much to see an object from any angle here. Remember, this is a 3-dimensional package, and we want to see things from every single angle. So we have on this one that I'm moving now, this would be the perspective. This one's the top view right here. This one's the front, and then this one's the side. Again, all these you can change the angles if this is not making sense to you, and you can see the name of the camera right there, where it says side right here. The column here on the right side, it is what Maya calls the channel box, and you can see the name up here, channel box / layer editor, right up there. And what's a channel in Maya? It is pretty much let's say we're moving something. We're just gonna move my hand from here to there, or let's just do it with the mouse like this. I just move it like that. So it is going in the z-axis, because the z-axis, that's the one with the depth. So once it goes right on that axis, that would be a channel. So you can have a channel for the z-axis. So in that channel box, you can find all the different channels and different attributes and coordinates and numbers that they're information for Maya. Although for us, we can just kind of look at it and see that it's there and know that it's doing something, but we don't necessarily need to go in and then do things in a mathematical way. There's no need for that unless you wanted to do it that way. So that's basically it, the interface on the sides. On the bottom, we have the timeline, which is pretty much now broken down in frames, and we'll get more into that. For now, just understand the concept. Frames, as you know, every single second of film is broken down into frames. So here we can see the frames. You can customize it in seconds, you can customize it in frames, whatever you want to have there, it's up to you. Down here, this is the frame range, and then you choose a section of the film or the shot or the scene or of the animation and say, okay, I just want to see from frame 1 all the way to 24, which would be 1 second. So this is 1 second of the animation. And then down at the bottom here, which says Python, you click on that one, it says MEL. MEL, these are programming languages that are proprietary to Maya. It's actually it's Maya encoding language, I believe. So MEL, and it's just about coding. And again, this would be for a different position, not necessarily animation, but you can make scripts that would be automating things inside Maya. So this is that, and then the next little window right here, it is how Maya talks to you, and you're doing things and it's just talking to you. It is a verbose mode, we call that in the programming language. So it's pretty much Maya talking to the user, saying this is what you're saying, this is what you're saying. You go, okay, animate, and it says, yeah, animate coordinates, blah blah blah. And you can see a lot of code. You can You can revise the code that you are doing if you want, but we use it mainly to see if there are any errors in the scene. If you do something that is not really working, then you go down there and it's going to be a red color message that says you can't do that because of this. So this is our alert area or section in the screen. And then the last one is just about telling you what are you using. If I hover through any of these icons, you can see that it's doing something. It's telling you what are they for. So it is the help menu with tool tips, basically. So that's about it. The Maya, we're gonna start doing things now, but that would be the interface so far. Very simple, clean looking, as you can see. As we start doing things, you'll get to understand it more and more and more. So for now, the main thing that you need to take away from this is that it is a three-dimensional package that you're gonna have 4 windows, and you're gonna have left toolset, right toolset, and the timeline for the animation. That's pretty much it, because we're gonna stay in one module only. That'll be the animation module. Alrighty. Okay, so now we are going to play with Maya. I have told you a lot of things, but you haven't seen anything. So now let's play with Maya and I will show you. As I am pressing things and going through things, do not worry about that now. Just try to see what Maya is doing and understand the concept. We'll take time and go through each one of those things that I'm doing with the keyboard and with the mouse and all that, so you understand and you do the same thing. But for now, don't worry. Play with Maya. This is how Maya opens. It opens with the perspective view like that, and I can go back to the 4 views here and I will get something so we can see it. We have a set of models that are really basic from Maya, so I can get a sphere right here. I can zoom in Maya, and I can move the camera around on this view only. The other views I can not do it. There are flat views that I can see the objects from the side, from the front, and from the top. In this case, it's a sphere. So the same thing from every single angle. If I get a different model right here, I can get a torus, which is that donut we saw before. Now we can see that from the side view, this is different. We can see it right here on the top view. Now it's a donut. From the side, it's almost a flat, kind of like a cylinder with soft edges, but you don't know that there is depth into that. And if you go here on the side view, now you can see that depth. But again, they're just orthographic views. That's how we call these things from a mathematical point of view. If I get one more object here, and I get a, let's just get a maybe a soccer ball right here. Again, that's a sphere, as you can see, but it has different polygons or different shape or flat edges right there. So now with that soccer ball, we can see the shapes that are shown in each one of the viewports. Let me show you more things. If I rotate any one of these objects like this one, we can see that it's updating in every single viewport, which is fun. This is what we want to see. In this case, again, it's very basic, but once we get into scenes and complicated camera angles and complicated more like animation and things like that, you want to see what you are doing live in all the viewports. So this is one way of doing it. Let me just get another shape here. If I go to the same menu and I get the cube, now we can see something that is completely flat from each one of the angles right here. So again, I'm just playing with different things here. You can see that I'm moving them around. I can scale them up. Again, do not worry about the things that I'm doing. Just enjoy the demo here and understand the process. Now, I was telling you about the channels on the right side. Now you can see that if I grab each one of these guys right there, this part of the interface, it's always updating. So now you can see this is the name of that object. I can click right there and then just say this is my donut, and these are the coordinates right here. We'll get more into that later. If I grab the cube here, this changes again. It has a different scale because I scaled that up. If I go to the soccer ball, it's showing the name. I can rename that one as soccer space ball right there, and it fills out that gap, that space, with an underscore for me. So it's doing a lot of things for the user. And then this one's the main sphere that I brought in the first place. So this one has no values right here. The whole coordinate system is all the way in zeros right here, all the way up to the scale right there. So if I move this sphere, you can see how the numbers are changing their real time. Again, this is what we want to see with the computer power we have now. And any of these things, if I rotate it even more, you can see that the axis that I'm using or modifying, you can see the changes right there. So with this very and simple example that you can see here, it's very basic, but it shows you the power of Maya and shapes that are really basic. You can see how Maya it's interpreting those shapes and how it brings these coordinates, and you can move them around, you can scale, and it's always doing things in real time for us, which is very good. So now what I want to show you is more menus and how to access those menus and how to navigate through menus and choose the different things in the menus and understand what's a menu in the first place. So let's go back and then do that. I'll be going and creating a new scene right here. And again, every time you create a new scene, it goes back to this default layout. This is that layout. So the menu is up here. You're gonna find that you click on the menu and it's pretty basic. There's nothing that is new in that menu or the style of the menus. What is kind of new in Maya is that you're gonna find menus like this one that it has 3 dots right there, and it has a little box right here, and it has the shortcut right there, or the hotkey as we call that sometimes. So you click on that on the keyboard and it's going to bring that same menu. So what's happening here is that if I go new scene, that it doesn't have anything right there with the, it's just clean. It's just going to go to that action straight. If I go and choose something else like save scene, or let's see, let me just find something that it has a different, like the sphere that I was pulling right here. If I go there, this one doesn't have anything right there, like the 3 dots. So you click on that one and it brings it out. So that means that it's a menu that it's going to have an immediate action to what you're doing, like the sphere right there. If you go to the ones that are having the little dots right there, it means to be continued, or there's a continuation to that. So if you click on that one, it's going to bring you a dialog box, which is going to have to ask you for more things, more of the user input in this case. So you click on the open, and it's just giving you a lot of options. What would you like me to open? How? Where is it? Like all that information that Maya needs to know. And then the last thing that I want you to know and understand about menus is that Maya has that little square next to some menus. Like this one doesn't have any, but then this one has that little box, and we call that the options box. So you click on the box, do not click here, you click on the box right there, and it's going to open a box with more options. So this is basically all the different attributes or actions or parameters that menu is going to have, that you can modify to get your desired results for that sense. You can access any menu and it's going to have the same thing right there. So it's asking you for the options that it went to the Maya, just gets it into a place on the scenes. It just organizes that for you. And you have also sub-menus, which is self-explanatory right here. The other way of accessing these menus that you need to know, so I'm going to go here, new scene right there. Do not save that scene. Actually, let me close this thing right there. So if I press the space bar and hold it down, you're going to see that there's something that comes up right there, and I'm holding that space bar down, and that stays. If I let it go, it goes away. So press, stays, you let it go, and it goes away. If you do it really fast, Maya is doing something different. This is what we call with Maya gestures, and this ergonomic way of doing things for the user. So if you want to see the menu, you need to hold the space bar. If you just do it fast, it's going to maximize the viewport so you can see bigger and better. So you can try that in different viewports. This is the side view, this is the front view, which has nothing, and then this is the perspective view right there. So again, back to the menus right here. Once you open this one, this is what we call the hot box, or what Maya calls the hot box. It's basically all the menus of Maya in one place. Now, why is this happening? Why can I access the same information from two places? Well, let's say that I have maybe that sphere. If I get that sphere back again here, and let's say that I'm working somewhere down here on the screen, and I want to do something to that sphere. I want to go and modify something that I need to have the sphere right there, and I'm really focused on that section of the screen or portion of the screen. What has to happen is that I need to travel all the way up here and then go to the menu that I want. And that's something that can actually get me out of my zone or out of my focus of what I was trying to do. So Maya, they developed this thing that wherever I have the cursor, I can press the space bar and then get to that menu right here. So again, if I'm down there, I can access down here. It's just gonna organize the menus in a way that they would fit my screen. So this is very handy and powerful, as you can see. If I compare the menus here, if I go File, you can see File, New Scene. If I go up here, it's File, New Scene, the same menus. If I go here, Constrain, and I go to the spacebar, to the hotbox right here, this is Constrain is right there. And again, same idea, the options box for the menus, and the menus that they actually have the little continued dots right there, so that brings more options. So with this, you have seen what Maya is about. It's just very basic. We're taking it baby steps, but now you can access the menus from different places. One thing that is very important with Maya, and this is where it starts getting more information, is that once you bring that hot box, you're gonna find that it has these lines. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. And what they're doing basically is that they are dividing the area right here. This is east. It's like a compass. So this is east, west, north, and then we have south. So if you click, it's going to bring more menus that are different. They belong to that area right here, so you can have more options. So again, this is very ergonomical just for the user to not let go and then have access, to our fingertips pretty much, and do not lose focus on the things that we're doing. So we'll jump on that deeper as we're going through these classes. But for now, take the concept of what Maya is. Now you have seen a lot of things that are happening. You might not really understand these ones if this is your first time with Maya, but if it is, just play with Maya. Try to get a sphere, try to get something from the things that you saw that I was doing right now, and just play with Maya. And do not be afraid. Maya, you can break it for sure because it's very open, but you can restore Maya to how it was originally installed. So we can do that as well. So for now, just play with Maya, understand the concept, and try to see what you're doing and how Maya is reacting and recording things for you. And with that, let's just wrap it up and see you next week. Hello, we'll be getting started with Maya. We're getting started with Maya. I will show you three things in this class. Okay, we'll get started with Maya. I will show you three things in this class. Hello, we'll be starting with Maya. I'll be showing you 4 things in this class. 3 things. Take 3.